wise we do stuff that's gonna happen. So on the city streets of Callaway, which includes all streets within the city limits of Callaway, excluding private property, we had 28 traffic crashes for the month of June. And also we broke down the contributing causes, but also the locations. 6 of those crashes occurred at 22 and Tyndall Parkway, which of course is the busiest intersection in Callaway. I just wanted to gather that information and give it to you, and go ahead, Commissioner.
I just have two things. One is, they're gonna update this and give us the locations every month, so we kind of know what's going on in our city. That's number one. Number two is, when you talk about 22 and Tyndall Parkway, I see this all the time. The U-turns right there to go to Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a contributed factor on 22 and Tyndall Parkway, but it's always an issue when you're gonna turn on to, going to, towards the bridge, towards Tyndall, where everybody is doing a U-turn.
Yeah.
Right there, plus you got
Southbound lane backing up.
Right, so I don't know if we can get with DOT and put a no U-turn sign there, I don't know if it would help. I don't know if that's,
What intersection is that?
That's Tyndall, 22 and Tyndall Parkway.
It already has the 3, no it does. It has a no U-turn up there, because we got that in 4 years ago.
It's no longer there, if you know.
On the first median, you're talking about that first median south of the intersection.
When they redid that median, they took the sign out.
Yeah, the sign's gone.
Is it
And
ever
that's a state issue that we will handle that.
And
When
somebody's
you
gonna
turn-
U-turn right there.
when you turn off of, you're on Tyndall Parkway and you make a left turn? If you're coming toward Tyndall, you make a left turn onto 22, and you have 2 lanes going into one, does that cause a problem?
That is where the majority of our crashes occur. You have those 2 lanes that merge together.
And yes, and some people just will not yield. I
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And the main thing is, and I believe it's DOT that does the striping on that portion of the road, keeping those stripes and all, from fading and getting where you can't see them, because when they're bright and you can see them, it makes it a lot easier for people to stay in their lane. But that's probably the single biggest contributor to that whole intersection, is where those 2 lanes turn on to 22, back eastbound on 22.
Anybody else have any question or comment?
I'm kind of curious as to this is because, very honestly, 4 years ago, through the TPO, we've got that intersection, no U-turn on it, have a sign up there. And what you're telling me,
Commissioner, it is marked for the Tyndall Parkway side. It is not a no U-turn on the 22 side anymore. There's no markings on the 22 side. The U-turn sign for the Tyndall Parkway side is up on the light itself on the pole that goes across the highway.
yeah,
It is marked on the Tyndall Parkway side.
okay, so that's still there for that. So, but what you're saying is they're coming off of Highway 22, making a U-turn to go into the Murphy?
Yeah. And obviously, that, I guess that's not the problem, is what Big Cap was telling us, because the problem is that merge up there on 22, so.
Yeah, the U-turns really hasn't created that big a problem. It's the 2 lanes that you got southbound Tyndall Parkway, and you have the 2 lanes that turn east onto Highway 22, and those, when you got 2 vehicles side by side turning, navigating that intersection at the same time, you'll have one deviate out of their lane into the other vehicle.
Well, they have to merge because it goes into one.
Yeah, and when you get straightened back up on 22, then it merges back into the single
The
lane.
people in the left lane do not wanna let them in.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit.
It's an issue.
That's where I see it. I just saw it twice every wreck.
Yeah, they were 4 lane 22.
One alternate for us, I'm on break, he wouldn't let me here.
If we could get them to 4 lane 22, that would probably help us some.
Yeah, my first thought was just make it an automatic turn, put up the sticks where you gotta turn into the gas station, you can't do that because there's too much area in front of it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our traffic circles that we're about to put in, so. Because if you can't figure out how to merge there, you don't have the courtesy to merge there, imagine what's gonna happen on the traffic circle.
Thank you.
Yeah, you talking about boat racing and apartment?
Yeah.
However, Captain, this is good information because, 2 or 3 of us are gonna be bringing that back to the state, because that'll be solved when we go to 4-laning like we've
Yeah. Right.
been planning to do for 6 years.
Right.
So, that, safety information is very helpful.
Yeah, and as we'll provide this every month, and as we identify any problem areas, certainly we'll bring those to your attention, so
Yeah.
y'all be aware of it.
I'll get that from you later because we got a meeting, TPO meeting in August, and I'll definitely bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any statistics you could give us about that particular intersection that would be helpful, that gives us more ammunition to try to get that funding.
Would you say, and in front of Walmart, would you say that's people trying to cut across, or they just don't let them merge in, or somebody's in the right lane and shoots around it?
Both, you've got northbound Kendall Parkway that'll try to turn in, the Walmart parking lot there just, south of the Murphy Oil into the Walmart parking lot. We do work some wrecks there, but also coming out of Walmart, on Kendall Parkway, the ones that come out and try to turn right, sometimes they'll pull out in front of somebody there.
Right, they shoot across the intersection.
But we don't see, for the amount of traffic up there, it's not a major problem. There's a lot of traffic.
I was wondering if it would be feasible to push people automatically to the right.
That would certainly help, yes. Yeah,
Right.
and we work some pretty.
I see
bad
that in a lot of
areas.
areas now where they automatically make you.
Yeah, it's much safer. We haven't had any severe wrecks there in quite a while, but right now on the north side of, Murphy Oil on Kendall Parkway, just north of Walmart, people that come out of there and try to turn north on Kendall Parkway, where they have to cross all those lanes of traffic, that can, and generally.
And I
they're
see like,
doing-
when you talk about, like maybe the right lane stopped, but the left lane can't see that the right lane car stopped.
Yeah, you'll get, what'll happen, you'll get a car that coming south on Kendall Parkway, they'll enter the turn lane to turn right into Kendall Parkway, or that shopping center north of
Right.
Walmart. And that creates a blind spot for the vehicle traveling south in the outside lane, and they pull out and they get hit by that car.
I mean, I'm an avid motorcycle rider, and
Yeah.
that's my scary.
You know where
place,
the
right
blind,
by the wall.
yeah, you know where the blind spots are. We worked with Callaway there many years ago, shortly after Walmart opened, that just happened just like that blind spot.
And my thinking was, I saw a place where they just push everybody to the right.
Yeah.
And eliminates all that cut across, zip in and cutting off.
Yeah, it's much safer. Yeah.
Now, would that be something to incorporate with Walmart? That wouldn't necessarily be a DOT issue, would it?
Well, it probably
Another
would.
private parking lot.
Probably would, with it involving the road, it'd probably take a combination of them working with the property owner there.
Right.
But we haven't worked a big amount of wrecks there in a while, but we have worked some pretty bad ones there. As a result of, you have more speed at that point on Kendall Parkway, more so than any other place in Callaway. Because they come around the curve, it's pretty desolate between, Transmitter Road and Walmart is the most desolate area of Kendall Parkway, so your speed increases. Now, that traffic light that'll be up there, and that new road there,
That'll
that
slow it down.
that will slow it down some, and I would say I would wait and see what how that turns out. I think that'll
Might
slow
put
it down.
enough pause in it to let.
Right, I think that'll slow it down.
The last major accident there was on the 6th of June. I recall.
Was it? Yeah. And it's not that they're tremendous speed, but you're doing, speed limit's 45 there. When you're doing 45 to 50 and someone pulls out in front of you and you hit them at that speed, that's gonna be a pretty bad wreck.
Yep.
I wanna thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you
And
so much.
Thank you.
thanks for the support as usual.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have no other presentations, so we'll go on to the mayor's instructions. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, then we'll just very quickly participation. You can speak on all of our agenda items. I will, after we discuss each regular agenda item, I'll call for public participation. If you want to speak, once you're recognized, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record if you so choose, and then your 3 minutes will start. At the end of the meeting, if there was something you wanted to discuss that wasn't on the agenda, we have, non-agenda public participation, same system. Once you're recognized, come up, state your name and address, blah, blah, blah. So, we will go on to the approval of the minutes. We've got the minutes of the July 8th, 2025 regular meeting. Did anybody have any question or comment on those minutes? Any changes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve July 8th.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we'll go on to the financial statements. They're looking good this far through the year, so we're halfway through. No, 3/4 of the way through, I'm sorry, so we're looking good. Our revenues exceed our expenses, so that's a good sign.
Still gonna be tight.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight, but
We'll make it.
at least our heads are gonna fly.
Where we need to be.
That's what matters. So we go on to our regular agenda. Item number 1, ordinance number 1122, no trucks on certain residential roads.
Okay, this is a first reading, ordinance 1122. An ordinance of the city of Callaway, Florida, amending the city's code related to traffic and motor vehicles, authorizing the commission to prohibit the use of certain streets by heavy commercial trucks, providing for exemptions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, liberal interpretation, modifications, codification, effect on existing terms, and providing for an effective date. And this is something we've talked about for a while. If you remember, we actually discovered with Bill's help, we had an old ordinance 621, that prohibited trucks on some roads that we need trucks on. So it was super out of date. It was actually never codified, so you couldn't find it in the code, but he found that one. So this is gonna be in our code in section 17. And the way we thought would be best to do is set it up by ordinance, put it in the code, and then we can name the roads by resolution. So we provided a copy of the resolution in the packet tonight. Obviously, that won't be adopted until we do second reading, so they'll come hand in hand, but we wanted you to have a copy of it, because those are the 6 roads right now that we're looking at. But this ordinance today just kind of sets that mechanism in place so we can prohibit those. Then we do second reading, we'll do that along with the resolution, and then someone can order some truck signs.
We got more.
If you
Not those little bitty ones, right?
They have to be the whole, they have to be like
Whatever the
the state standards on signs. So,
Anybody have any comment or question?
Well, yes. In the summary sheet is saying, on the residential roads, it's using the term unnecessarily, commercial trucks unnecessarily, I guess, on the residential roads. And when you get into the, ordinance, I'm having a little difficulty, understanding how we're going to determine and how we're going to enforce. I mean, we see a truck who's got 10,000 pound limit in here, anything over 10,000 pounds in 3 axles, is in there. Well, very honestly, I had an F-350 dually, and the dually itself was over 7,000 pounds in pulling trailers. Very honestly, if we put a 10,000 pound number in there, you're gonna have quite a few residents that are gonna be pulling their boats or their other trailers and all, they're gonna be over 10,000
Is it commercial or construction?
commercial or construction.
Oh, that's what I mean, it's commercial delivery trucks and construction vehicles.
Well,
With
some
those
of them are gonna have signs and some of them are not, so you can tell the, sheriff's department that, if it has a sign on it, it's obviously commercial. If it doesn't have a sign on it, leave it alone. Is that, you know,
You're pulling a boat, we're not gonna pull you over, how about that?
well, you pull in the trailer. I mean, at one point when I was pulling the trailer, with no signs on it, I'm residential as far as that was concerned when I was in business. I'm just looking at the side of, this is great and be nice if we had people that we could put a sign up and say no trucks.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously, that 18-wheeler knows it's a truck and then stay off that road, et cetera. But when we're looking at, we're gonna put a ordinance in place, and a resolution in place that, what are we gonna, how are we gonna enforce it? What are we gonna do with the sheriff's department? I mean, right now, we got other issues they need to be working on.
I can tell you the biggest thing is a moving truck. He shows up, that might be one time that person moved. It's not
And they're exempt.
everyday occurrence where we have gas trucks, 18-wheelers, mangling the roads 7 days a week.
Yeah, moving trucks and delivery trucks are exempt.
South Gay and Old Hickory are just about, Old Hickory's about to collapse. If y'all haven't drove down that in a while, it is in horrendous shape where they pull up to that gas station, they cut around, they come down Gay. We got those type of people that they don't care. Their theory is, I'm not getting on Tender Parkway, it's too much traffic. It's easy for me to cut through your neighborhood. But I can't have Kip enforce it because we have zero ordinance. He says, sounds good, but I can't even stop them to give them a warning the first time to say, don't do this again or you will be cited. So that's really where we're at with the ordinance. We can't enforce anything from Bay County Sheriff's Department without,
Which is why we're doing this ordinance.
with the ordinance.
Without one, which is why we're doing.
There are gonna be exceptions to the rules, you know.
Yeah, you have an exception for moving
If
trucks,
military
delivery
vehicles getting
trucks.
transferred, then they hire the 18-wheeler to come in there.
Moving trucks.
If it's a moving truck, it's exempt right here.
Yeah,
Paragraph E.
it's exempt.
Yep.
And our citizens will be firsthand tell you who the abusers are.
I think with Commissioner Griggs, I mean, I think they'll know it's not commercial or construction, it's,
You know,
you have a trailer behind you, go to your house. It's not commercial, you know.
well, realizing they cut the corners and they're, you know, tearing up on our ditches, our box on the ditches. And I understand that, but I just, what's different about this ordinance? I guess I should have looked at, what is the difference about this revision and the ordinance we already have in place?
Bill might be able to refresh my memory. Yeah, it was,
We didn't really have one.
we did have one, and it was not put in the code, but it was like for Bertha and boat rate, it was,
Yeah, the existing one we had in place, 621, didn't make sense. It prohibited, commercial vehicles on Star Avenue, Cherry, Bertha, and Boat Race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was Boat Race. Star Avenue, Cherry, and Bertha, which those are the roads they need to be on, they have to be on, those are arterial roads, those are main roads to get to the convenience stores mostly. This thing is kind of written around the vendors, I hate to say it, but it kind of is, because they're the ones who pull up at the convenience stores, the grocery stores and they cut the corners through the neighborhoods to get to their next stop, to make time. That's why the list that is on the resolution is short. We could have put a whole bunch of roads on there, but we only put the ones that are problems, the cut through roads. And me and some of my staff, we got in front of a big screen, we're like, if you were a driver, which road would you cut? And that's how we came up with that list. To make it as short as possible. The ordinance just does reduce the weight of the vehicle from 20,000 pounds down to 10,000 pounds. I drive an F-150, it's a 9,500 pound truck. You know, that's the gross capability. So if it has 2 axles, or if it is a dually, it is gonna automatically be a violation if it is a commercial or construction vehicle and on our residential roads unnecessarily. So, you know, I did code enforcement for a long time, and it's hard whenever you pass a new code and you don't have the reference, or you don't have the ability to enforce it, but they're gonna have to, the sheriff's department will be able to use their discretion and stop the ones that are a problem. And we can help them by, you know, turning those guys in, the ones that are cutting the corners.
Well, also, I would think that the problem is the businesses. So if somebody's coming in and make a delivery into the business, this letter today was a fuel truck, you know, taking a delivery, I guess, to the filling station. There's no reason that should be anywhere except going through the entrance and exit of the fuel. I mean, we allow for all that when we've approved the Murphy development order and all of that. All that is in consideration, so, but I would like to see the businesses to at least, you know, respond, or the people that are, the companies that are making deliveries to them, the repetitive deliveries, to at least be requested to notify those delivery companies that, and the ordinance.
We're gonna hand deliver the request.
You know, the ordinance does.
Don't come down this road no more, please.
The ordinance does repeatedly say in here that it be revised as things occur. And with the, resolution pointing out just those 6 streets. And we're saying, well, maybe we need to add another one or something, at least that's.
That's it, you put these signs, these 6 streets, and they start going to another street, we'll come back, a resolution, which just take 1 reading,
Yeah.
and you'll add another sign. So that's the point. Eventually we'll get it.
Yes,
Can I speak on behalf of the sheriff's office?
you can.
I wanna know where you're gonna build the toll booth site. Who's gonna buy the equipment to weigh the vehicles? Who's gonna pay for the training for the deputies to do them? You're building us you're putting us in a situation where we're gonna have people call us and say, we got an ordinance we need you to enforce, and we have no way of enforcing it. We don't have a single deputy at the sheriff's office that can weigh a vehicle. DOT weighs vehicles and enforces those laws involving weight and overweight vehicles. We have no way of doing that unless you give us the tools to do it. So I wanna know where we're gonna man these weight stations at, or where we're gonna set them up at, where we can pull these vehicles off the road, drive them up on the scales. Are y'all gonna provide us with the scales? Are y'all gonna provide us with the training in order to enforce this? Because if you're not, you're talking about an ordinance that we're not gonna be able to enforce. If you're not willing to spend the money, if you're not willing to spend it on manpower, then we're not, I know you would love for us to go out and just go, yeah, we're gonna be able to pass this, but when you put a 10,000 pound weight limit on a vehicle and whatever's pulling, I've gotta weigh that vehicle before I can figure out whether or not he's violating the law or not. I can look at it and maybe think I know, but it's just like speed. If I write a speed ticket, I have to see the vehicle speeding, I have to measure the speed with a device, and then I'm able to write them a ticket. You're not gonna be able to do any enforcement with that. And then, and some of these vehicles, you talk about gas trucks coming around, especially down there at Gay Avenue and all, where they have just made a delivery. it's almost impossible for a gas truck to pull in off the Parkway, make a delivery, and then make it around and come right back out on Tyndall Parkway. Maybe you should consider that. I'm not telling you to, whether to pass this ordinance or not pass this ordinance, but look at everything. When you start using us saying you are gonna enforce this ordinance, not the way it's written, and not with the tools we have in our pockets right now, and the way you have to build a case to go to court. Sheriff's office not gonna enforce this because they can't until you give us the training and tools that it takes to enforce this ordinance. So we're talking about something that can't be done. So you can post signs all you want to, but until we have the tools to actually enforce it, there's nothing we can do to stop this from happening. I can't pick and choose who I stop and just say, "Aldo, you look like you're over 10,000 pounds, I'm writing you a warning." It's not how it works. I gotta be able to prove
If it
what I'm
says
doing.
no semi-trucks, does that make it clear?
If you say no semi-trucks, that makes it pretty clear. If you put down no 18-wheelers whatsoever, yeah, that makes it pretty clear. But then if you put a weight limit with it, we're back to square one. I can't enforce a weight limit without training. I have never had any training enforcing weight limits. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I just heard a lot of sheriff's offices gonna do this and that. I wanted y'all to understand what we're up against. There's more to it than that, and you put us in a very bad situation when you pass an ordinance that we have no way of enforcing, and people call them mad with us because we're not enforcing. Okay? Thank you.
I think it's pretty simple, just take the weight out and just say no semi-trucks. Because that's our goal, right?
Attorney's office for review.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like I said, this is, Animal City has the same one, it's on me.
Can we do those
Yeah, so if you wanna identify the type of truck,
Right.
regardless of weight, we can do that.
Well, then it can be enforced.
Yeah, I mean, if, you need to take the weight
I
out.
understand what Kip's saying, is
Yeah.
that I can call him all day long, somebody sped on my street, but he didn't see it, he can't enforce it. We can put in your 50-ton limit, and he writes a ticket and says, well, he didn't have a scale, so how does he know I'm 50 tons? But if you put in your no semi-truck, then it's very specific. He sees a semi-truck, happens to see it there, then they can enforce it. I think is what he's saying.
That's a good suggestion, that's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah, I'm not sure we could restrict wheels either, unless there's like over 14 wheels or something like that, because,
So we said no 18 wheels.
yeah, if you do that, then there's gonna be 16 wheelers.
I mean, what are the problems we're trying to prevent? Is it just semi-trucks? Or is it,
Basically semi-truck.
be like,
You gotta
like
have,
a beer delivery truck or Coca-Cola delivery truck's not necessarily a semi-truck.
Right. Sometimes they're boxers.
some of them are, but, depends on the delivery. If they're smart enough to send a box truck into where they can, if they're having to make runs outside of their general area, they're gonna, carry, it will not be a full 53-footer. It'll be something else, but
So that'd be a lot lighter, not
Just say, because you can't just say commercial delivery trucks, because some person might just come and bring a refrigerator and it's on a pickup truck.
Yeah.
You don't wanna prohibit them.
Semi-truck.
But also you want probably more than just a semi-truck. I mean, you definitely want semi-trucks prohibited, but you probably want more than that too. So I think you can identify the type of trucks and then say regardless of weight, it's gonna be fine.
well, the van trucks and even some, well, and the van trucks are generally gonna be, under, at least their vehicle's gonna be under 10,000 pounds, maybe, close to 10,000 pounds. But they allow another 10,000 pounds of cargo. So, but van trucks would not be the ones that are, cutting the corners and tearing up the corners.
I think you did do commercial, you're covered because you have to have markings, flags on your vehicle, to designate what you're hauling.
Yeah, like I said, you could be a commercial truck and just be bringing a refrigerator. And not,
They don't have to have a name, but they still gotta have those standards for DOT standards.
just the types of trucks will change. So,
Well, the complaints I've got with semi-trucks, I haven't had any other complaints with semi-trucks, and most of them are down there at Hickory.
Well, I'm for at least changing the language to that. Eliminating the 10,000 pounds and changing the language to that.
We'll just start there, if we need to increase it later, we'll do that.
okay, you want us to just,
And they
all
would
right,
have
want me
to
to just
do,
I'll get with Bill, we can just pull it, cause it'll change the title and everything, we could have the first reading next time. We'll start there, if you guys can think of any other types of trucks.
we can approve the first reading tonight with the
I mean,
suggested
we
change.
have it it's already based on heavy commercial trucks, based on weight, and I'd rather
And that should be
get some input from you guys. I mean, it's not gonna be a big rewrite, I'd rather get some input from you guys, talk to Bill,
Change
and just come back and do first reading again with changes.
Okay.
I mean, I think it'd be too many notes.
So basically, just withdraw.
Well, we
It's-
discussed it, we don't have to withdraw.
Yeah, it's fine. We're not gonna advertise it until we'll bring it back for another first reading. We can identify, cause I'm sure there's probably a need for trucks that are, I mean, there's semi trucks, obviously, there's probably, you know, Bill knows all the truck names. That are more than just a pickup truck with a bridge on it, you know, that you guys are trying to prohibit, that's fine. So we can take out the weight.
So we really like, let the audience,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm glad we had the discussion, that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
George Mercer, 523 Southgate Avenue. A lot of this is probably due to me. I've been talking to Commissioner Davis quite often. He's probably tired of me texting him when that gasoline truck comes passing by my door. You know, when it comes off of Rebecca Court, it cuts the corner on the South Gate, and it does the same thing at Southgate and Hickory. Not only does it cut the corner, it cuts off traffic. There's been traffic going up and down that road, and they have to stop to allow that truck to make its turn. And I've noticed many a time, and I've got video to show you that truck rarely stops at the stop sign. It rolls up to it, and if it doesn't see anything, it rolls on through the stop sign. Doesn't use a turn signal either. My wife was behind it one day, and it didn't use a turn signal. What I'm concerned about is this. It's not just a semi. I know that concerns y'all for the roads and such, but that thing carries approximately 9,000 gallons of gasoline. It weighs 80,000 pounds approximately, whereas a garbage truck only weighs about 40,000 pounds. So it is doing significant damage to the road, whether you see it or not. And like they said, Hickory Street, if you haven't been down it, you need to drive down that thing once in a while, because you can't go more than about 5 miles an hour without tearing your axles off your truck. But I'm not concerned so much about people trying to make a living. I'm just concerned about what kind of trucks we're allowing into our neighborhoods. And I think that the axle approach is probably the best. Most semis have 5 axles. Most, even the light delivery trucks maybe have 3. I'm not really concerned about them as a personal safety issue. It may be a little annoying every once in a while, but I can live with it. It's still not as bad as a motorcycle going down the road about 70 miles an hour. And we got that big problem too, but I digress. I just ask that y'all try to keep these semis out of the residential neighborhoods. We didn't sign up for it. And there was a comment made, well, when you move close to Temple Parkway, you really kind of expect some of this stuff. Well, I moved there 45 years ago, and we didn't have these kinds of problems back then. It was a nice, quiet, peaceful neighborhood. And now, last 10, 15 years, we get more and more of this stuff, and it's getting out of hand. We want a nice, quiet neighborhood. That's all we ask for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir.
Jeff Carnahan, 7752 Shadowgate Drive. I've looked through this, and say the ordinance passes, what are the fines gonna be, and are they gonna be stacked on top of them if they keep doing it, or what? I haven't seen anything about what the penalty's gonna be for these people that keep breaking the law.
And that's up to the
That
sheriff,
would be the steps.
because they're gonna write them out traffic.
It'll be a traffic citation, so wherever.
So what's the traffic citation gonna be, Skip?
You need to, no, you didn't, sir, you need to address the commission, not
Well,
you.
I did address you, you said it's the sheriff's part of the problem.
It's not sure, it's a civil traffic citation, so whatever the schedule is and under state law, we're not setting that.
Okay.
Just like whatever speeding is. We don't set speeding fines.
Well, you set the ordinance, so I don't know why you can't set the fine and set a stack thing if they keep continuing to break it.
It's traffic.
One thing it helps, where's commercial drivers, it goes straight to their license.
Well, I
It don't go
understand,
through
I understand that, but.
So the driver knows, I ain't going that way. Cause if he gets made
You
points,
say so.
he don't have to use his license.
I mean, I've had a commercial license for several years. But, okay, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir?
On Shannon, it's 711 Cabin Circle. I was wondering about the lane, you know, the longer the truck is, the more it's gonna cut the corners. You know, when you get right down to it. And the roads around here are just simply not built for big trucks. I mean, you see it all the time, you know. It just, you know, the length should be a factor too, I would think. Some of these sand, that haul gravel and sand, they're really heavy, but they're not real long, but they got a lot of axles, so, you know, it's a can of worms there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. Anybody else want to speak? Don't see anybody, so I think we know where we stand, what to do.
Yeah.
Hope the next meeting,
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
bring it
bring
back.
back and do our first reading then. So, on to item number 2, ordinance number 1123, rezoning the property located at 1062 North Tyndall Parkway.
This is another first reading, we already have, there was a typo in there where it says highway, that should say service. So the application in your packet is correct.
Right, I was gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I think I should have said last week, so. Anyway, everywhere you say highway, it'll be
Should be
service.
highway, right.
So, this again, first reading, ordinance number 1123, an ordinance rezoning from commercial and agricultural to service commercial. That certain parcel of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, containing approximately 2.06 acres, located at 1062 North Tyndall Parkway, parcel ID 06018115000. All is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this one should take effect immediately upon passage. And Ashley's already changed it, that first whereas clause, and section 1 should already change highway to service. Before she advertises.
10 pages to talk about.
Hey, city manager, do you want to-
So as of now, it's partially zoned or half zoned highway commercial, which is the most intense commercial designation we have, and agricultural. Why the back half is agricultural, I'll never know, but they're not growing anything other than pine trees there. So the applicant is asking for the all one zoning designation, which will be service commercial, which is the midstream for commercial in our zoning designations for commercial. Mr. Doug Crook is here tonight representing. If you have any questions here, I will be glad to answer them just as best we can.
Anyone have questions?
Can you, explain service commercial for everybody out there? What can go into service commercial?
So highway commercial is the most intense, which is almost anything except for industrial. Okay, so what it would eliminate is any manufacturing, big box such as a Walmart, an actual gas station.
Right.
Okay, I misspoke a little bit at a planning board meeting and said that a car wash would not be allowed, but ironically it would be. There would be some stipulations on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've not heard anything about what they're wanting to do, especially a car wash, so to kind of extinguish that rumor now, they're not looking to make a car wash there. you know, that's pretty much it. That's the medium for, there are some buffering requirements for service that are not required in highway commercial. Storage of materials during certain hours, those kinds of things. And then community commercial even gets a little more intense. It should be really more like a neighborhood shop, where you really can't tell it's there unless you almost visit. There's not a whole lot of community commercial in Callaway at all. And prior to the three intensities being broken out, I wanna say in about 2016, 17 or so, everything was highway commercial. We only had one. So if it was that, it still is. But if anything gets rezoned to commercial, it gets one of those three designations since that date. And myself, I always try to give them only what they need, not the most intense. Don't ask for highway commercial unless you think you need it. You only need, and we had an air conditioner shop on Hickory that he wanted to do, and we requested, service commercial for him. Now, he got it, but unfortunately, he found a better place, and he's not gonna do a shop in Callaway.
Any other questions?
Just an example.
Yeah, what I don't understand is that, I guess I'm confused about multiple things now. When we approved that to go commercial, but definitely in all our conversation, when, this was brought to us before, for that property that fronts on Temple Parkway. And we made sure that that was, only commercial, definitely not highway commercial. Because we wanted to make sure that we didn't have, auto repair and all which you can under highway commercial, and various other things under highway commercial. Then I read in the summary here where we're talking about, agriculture, changing it to highway commercial. Now, that's in the summary.
It's wrong.
This is all going to service commercial.
It's wrong.
Service commercial.
All going to service commercial.
Yeah, so the summary is wrong. The information we were given is wrong. They're gonna change it to service, that's all.
This is correct.
Wherever you see highway, you'll see service.
Okay, and that was the other thing, showed up over here is different from commercial and agricultural to highway commercial as shown above.
It's almost replace highway with service.
Right.
Yeah. What we were looking for is shops, and we wanna make sure there's nothing but shops can go in there, or restaurants, or something along that line, but nothing necessarily related to automotive. You know, so that's what scared me when I'm seeing this, because we stressed that. And 99% of the citizens that were involved in those discussions wanted to make sure that it would not be, highway commercial.
Right now, it's highway commercial. They're asking for a less intense commercial designation.
But I'm gonna have to go back to the,
Before, they were asking for multifamily high density, multifamily.
we brought that, just as commercial. It was never agreed to be highway commercial. I mean, I can't prove it because I didn't look it up, but I know
It's
exactly.
in the meetings, we disapprove highway commercial.
Disapproved highway commercial.
It's in our meetings.
They
It
take
was disapproved.
the agriculture in the back
Right.
and make it highway commercial, so everything would be highway commercial, right?
Was that right?
Wasn't that right?
Okay, yes.
And so, since they didn't wanna do that, it's the agricultural zoning in the back that's messing everything up. So they wanna take all of it and make it service commercial.
Right.
A lesser designation.
So none of it will be highway commercial if we approve this.
Correct.
Okay. All right, service commercial would work. The next thing down would be, civic,
Community,
Community,
community.
yeah.
yes. They're asking for a reduction in intensity, the amount of intensity that they can do on the property.
Okay, so if all the language is corrected, we're really looking at
Service
service commercial.
Yeah. And that's what the application says, and I think.
So we vote on it tonight, we're voting on service commercial,
Yes.
Yeah.
no matter what the documents are saying.
Disregard the sound.
I read it as service. She's already changed it.
Okay.
I watched her do it.
So we'll make sure it's changed when we use that.
If we go with that, I'm good for it, but,
We'll make the
you
additions.
scared me with the highway.
Thank you.
A question? You good? Anybody in the audience want to speak on this, Ms. Austin?
Teresa Langston, 631 Land Street. This came before y'all in August of 2024. Part of it was, I guess, highway commercial, part of it was agricultural. They were trying to change it all to highway commercial so they could sell it, is what they really want to do with it. They don't want to have any plans for it, they want to sell it, so by changing it to highway commercial, they can get the higher dollar for it. But during the meeting, you had stated that you were not comfortable with it and you wanted semi-commercial, which semi-commercial, when I looked it up, would be about 50% residential and in shops, as you had stated. By changing it to the service commercial, of course you can have the car wash, it has a little bit more restrictions to it or whatever, but it will allow the sale of gasoline as an incidental use shall be permitted, provided that any said sale can be conducted only in conjunction with the principal washing service and not independent of said service. So you could open it up, they could have a car wash and it sells gas. There, exactly what you said that you did not want on highway service. So if you're wanting shops and nothing but shops where they can't do it, then you would really want to go with community commercial, because that's where you have your antique stores, your art supplies, bakeries, banks, barber shops, beauty shops, book supplies, newspaper shops and stuff. Instead of that, because that still kind of opens the door to car washes and gas stations, everything that you said that you didn't want to open it up to, that Callaway had enough of during the August of 2024 meeting. So I don't think it should be changed, because we're just opening up the door to more car washes, more gas selling places, and I think it's ridiculous the way that it's worded when it comes before you, instead of just laying out the facts of, it came before you and this is what happened. Everybody kind of, shuffles the papers and tries to hide this sheet of paper and that sheet of paper, and I just find that kind of shady, when it's presented to you guys. Even by a city, employee, the way that they kind of word it, I think it's shady.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Anybody else here have anything else to say?
The location of it makes it really impractical for community commercial. So I'm familiar with that. And it was on the planning board when all this was brought up years ago. But, so I can't go with community commercial, but I can't go with highway commercial because that opens it up to shops. Now, in the middle ground, you can have a 7-Eleven that sells gas, for that matter, that kind of thing. But, and very honestly, I don't think there's a real willingness. We talk about car washes. The last car wash that came into Callaway was a little over $8 million. I don't think that there's gonna be anybody really interested in putting a car wash in there, because it would be so not worried about that. So, community commercial, no. Highway commercial, no. That only leaves me the middle ground. So that's where I stand on this.
So I do have one question. What is it right now?
The street side is just commercial. So it was been designated, before we split up our zoning code 15 years ago into the 3 categories it's mentioned, it was just commercial.
That covers
And
all
then-
3 categories, basically.
Basically it'd be highway.
I got
I mean, it'd be the equivalent of highway. It was just commercial and agricultural.
Yeah, it could be highway commercial.
For just the front part, not for that.
What do you want? The other part's agriculture.
Right.
So this would be restricting it more. Would like to make a motion?
Just not, what's our actual limitations on making it all commercial? I mean, what could?
They're
build what,
listing service.
housing? I mean, commercial could be what, any box store, business,
Well, not
restaurant.
service commercial, he said a box store, it couldn't be a box store under service commercial, correct?
Correct.
So
So what's it gotta be designated for a box store?
Highway commercial, which it is now. It's not big enough.
No, you couldn't put a Walmart.
What we want is a restaurant in there.
Maybe all those.
With all of it put together, we could possibly do that. I don't have the money to do that.
So if you don't make a highway commercial, no store could be built in.
Not a big store, but you could put a small store.
Well, I'm just saying like a national brand store comes in, that's gotta be what? Highway commercial?
Depends on.
Depends on the store.
Depends on the store.
Get roses back in there, which my wife wants. But Bill's right, you put, Walmart in there, you think about Walmart, but wait a minute, Walmart has an automobile side, which they do repairs, et cetera, and they could only do that under the highway, commercial designation. So,
Anything?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance number 1123, rezoning of property located at 1062 North Kendall Parkway, first reading with the corrections for service commercial.
Do we have a second?
well, I guess I've been the most vocal, so I guess I will second it.
We have a motion and a second, is there any more discussion? No, not any. City clerk, please do a roll call.
8 months later.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Vontier?
No.
Commissioner Ayers?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item 3, resolution 25-13, ability building manual update.
Resolution number 25-13, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Callaway, Florida, adopting an updated utility billing policy manual, repealing all resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
City manager.
Well, as y'all know, the city received a letter from Bay County indicating that sewer rates will be increasing and water rates will also be increasing. So at the last meeting, we discussed the rate increases, that we were going to just pass these increases on to the residents with no increase to the base rates, just for consumption only. We also did a complete review of all of our rates, which needed to be done. So we presented y'all with basically everything that needed to be changed. I'll be more than happy to go through each one of them with you if you'd like. I will say that we did find an omission, and that's actually on the last page. Y'all have an updated one in front of you. It's under, very last page at the very bottom, under the service work order changes. Basically, whenever a resident calls us out, especially if they do a meter or something like that, we will go out up to a maximum of 2 times. After that, then we can start charging them for our efforts. Most of the time, it just really rolls into, we go out several times, they still say, come out, come out, come out, come out, after we've already, done our due diligence on everything, and so we've changed our meter tap fees, to reflect, the costs that, because everything has went up. And then we have removed a lot of some of the older fees and just basically we changed the deposits. And so there's just there's a whole lot. If y'all want me to go through each one, we can. It's all in red.
You can change that.
Yes, yeah, remove. I do have Lisa here, if y'all need any major, questions concerning it with utility sheet. But this was a combined effort between us, finance, utility billing, and also, water and sewer.
I had a question, not about the rates, this was about, you've got the section on irrigation meters. Do we need to put something in there about the backflow preventers?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't know,
We won't hook them up, thank God.
okay.
Lots of minor tweaks, but they're really just to reflect current pricing that we're dealing with. Also, we'll reflect the purchase of the new Callaway meters that were discussed at the last meeting.
That's what it is, 386
Yes.
for 1 inch,
Correct.
380. Yeah, I'm just looking at it.
210 to 3.
Yeah.
Yes, 386.
I have about 10 or 12 of them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just kidding. I do have some questions. I think on a different day, we need to start talking about that, stormwater fee. We've not done anything for years and years and years. That's for a different day. Okay? I just saw that $1 is ridiculous. We can't do anything with that. And, but that's for a different day. When we talk about, how many times have we charged an individual for tampering? How many times has that been done?
All the time.
When you say all the time, we've actually charged them?
Yes.
And are we now sending the sheriff out? We haven't been doing that in the past, I think, Tim.
We actually have been sending out on several major tampering things in the past. We generally don't send out on the first one.
Why not? They're breaking the law. If they do it once, they're gonna do it a second time, they're gonna do it a third
No,
time.
not, they generally will come in and pay their fees. But if they're doing it the second time, then, no, we get them in.
That means we gotta go back out, see if they're doing it a second time.
We can tell when we read meters.
Yeah, but that's a month, 2 months later.
We put a lock on it, is that the right way to do it? We put a lock on, they cut the lock off.
Yeah,
In fact, we're doing, aren't we using the locks on everything now? We're not even using tags anymore. We used to use a plastic tag. We don't do that. We actually pin lock everything now.
because the new meters are not gonna be able to do it, because you'll be able to cut it off at the office, it doesn't matter what they do.
If we went to those on new electronic meters, it wouldn't matter if they shut it on or off, right? We could truly be controlled in the valve.
That is correct. That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
Which would eliminate a lot of theft and tampering.
But I don't like it, because I think, tampering is tampering, and, to me, be it the first time, second time, or third time, tampering is tampering, and it should be addressed, and should be, followed up and, proper documentation given to our sheriff department. And then, the other thing we haven't addressed, which the mayor has talked over and over and over and over and over again, which more or less is when we start talking about penalties, but, when we get these reports and we're showing homestead extension on doing anything with that. And the mayor's talked about this for 6-7 months now, and y'all keep on ignoring it, and it needs to be taken care of.
We can write that into our menu.
But it needs to go in there because, again, you guys are just ignoring it, and we need to fix the problem.
Actually,
You know.
I think it's in here. If you look at utility debt collection, and it talks about how all delinquent utility fees shall be a lien upon the property with which such fees are associated in accordance with Florida statute 159.17, which I assume would say that it can't be a renter, you know.
Right. But it should be reported to the tax collector.
These are like reporting tampering,
Right.
reporting
Yeah.
homestead exemption.
If we have a homestead
fraud,
exemption,
Maybe just make it first,
that's going to
$200,
collection.
second, go to
Then it should be going to, our procedure should be that it needs to be turned in to the tax collector, and we're not doing that. We keep on ignoring it, you know, we talk up here as a commission, we all agree on policy, but our city manager doesn't enforce it. And we need to do that. It's just, we need to quit talking about it and do it.
No, that's the thing, if there really is a homestead exemption, then we need to be putting a lien, and if it's being rented, then we need to turn them in so that they don't get that
that needs to
homestead
be in our
exemption,
rules.
because they're stealing,
Yeah.
if they're not paying taxes that
Right.
they should be paying.
Exactly.
You know, you can add some simple language like under tampering fees, you can also say, you know, and shall be reported to law enforcement. I mean, it's fine to do your own fees, which is good, because you're, you know, law enforcement can do their thing, and it's criminal, whether it's misdemeanor or felony. But you could, in your policy, to remind staff, say, and shall be reported to law
Right.
enforcement, or, the homestead stuff, be reported to, I think that would just go to the county. Or the state, whatever.
I know of one that we're working now that the sheriff's department's been involved in, they've actually cut
East Bay,
in part,
East Bay,
I don't know about these, but,
that's another one.
then there.
But what I'm saying is that we have so many of those, and if we send a sheriff on the first offense, then the word gets out that don't tamper with these lines, you know, they're gonna come out. And what we're doing is say, oh, okay, you can do it one time, don't worry about it, you know, we'll hit you with $100 penalty, and the second time is when we get the sheriff involved, and in my mind, the sheriff should be involved on the first offense. You know, that's again, you know.
Yeah, you could just add, under tampering fees, on page 9, just add a sentence, any customer tampering shall be reported to law.
Right.
We're still gonna charge them the fee.
The fee's gonna be charged.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, we need to be active on this, and is it gonna help us with our delinquency? Maybe, but the bottom line is that we're just laying back, saying, okay, we can go ahead and tamper with our law, and we'll just issue with that $100, and of course, they leave, they don't pay the $100, but if they tamper with it, then it's an offense, and it's in the courts.
Can I ask Lisa a question?
Do they normally pay it? Are they like glad to pay the $100 or,
I don't, unless we look at the records there, we won't, you know, they're telling us they are, so I have to assume that.
or do they just move? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So for the
Please
most-
answer to the best of your
To
ability.
the best of my ability. They usually pay it. What I've been doing, if the first time brings it back and there's $2,900 such cost, there's an email attack on the account, I will send them an email. And 9 times out of 10, they'll email me back and be like, my bad, I'm sorry, I'll pay it, no problem. I really don't have a lot of second and third times. I do have one open right now, which, I did talk to Aaron the other day about that one, and there's a summons issue. So, and they will have to pay it.
We've had a lot more than that in the past. This is nothing new as far as the second and third
But I
time.
can't enforce something if I don't.
I understand that, but we're waiting for the second time, and I'm saying we should do the first time.
I can do that.
The law should be involved the first time, not the second time, the third time, the fourth time. I just think we need to be a little bit more aggressive.
The one we're talking about, you know, I'm familiar with. The first time that was cut, we did notify the sheriff's department, didn't we?
No, we did not, because we didn't know.
Oh.
But as soon as we found out that it was, yes, we started the process immediately.
How do you know it's been tampered? Do you have like, with the new system, it flags, hey, this account is,
I rely on my service techs.
There's no new system yet until we get the new meters in.
and then with the new meters, it'd be harder to even tamper because it's all controlled electronically.
Right.
Not with a screwdriver.
That's what we've been told.
I need to verify how that system's gonna work.
Well, city manager, you told us you can turn it off in the office, so if you
We
can turn it.
can, I'm not sure. I'm telling you, what I'm saying is, I'm not sure, we just got the spec sheets on that the other day, and is it an exposed?
Well, yeah, that's
Turn on and off. or is it
special
an internal?
antennas.
Cause we're still gonna have the ability, we always will have a curb stop.
It's a learning curve is what I'm gonna tell you, because I don't know. Well, we're still in the process of getting everything.
We hadn't even got our first meter out yet.
Mhm.
But right now I rely on the service techs. What we do after the 15th, or excuse me, after the disconnects on the 26th,
Yeah, it's
26.
So the following month, before we do late fees on the 15th, like 2 days before that, the service techs go back out to the ones that still have not paid. Because those ones are gonna have to be filed out on the 15th. Those are when we catch them. That's when we catch the ones that have tampered. If they've turned themselves back on, the service tech will write tampered on the service request and get us a read, so that we can bill them accordingly.
And I'm assuming on new meters, when we get most of them in, we'll know if water is flowing, but if they temper it, we won't know. Cause it's bypassing our system.
From what I was told, and don't quote me on this, they're not gonna be able to tamper with these meters. It's gonna
Well,
be pretty
that's
hard.
what I'd like to know. I'd like to get the facts on this versus, cause we're told one thing and then we find out another. If you could get the spec sheets, city manager, and kind of brief us next commission meeting as to what these meters are gonna do and not do, and give us the facts versus bits and pieces, I would appreciate it.
It'd be nice to know, I mean, maybe they'd be
Right.
the person we replace,
Yeah,
is the offenders.
right. But Mike, and I don't know if y'all agree or not, but to me, tampering is tampering, it should be turned into the sheriff the first time, period. I don't know if y'all agree with that or not, but,
I'm fine with that.
you know,
Oh, I'm definitely agree with it.
yeah.
But
So,
when we lock a meter,
right,
what customer service has got a problem with, that they, do they go by that meter every day to see if it's
no,
unlocked? They don't,
no,
so, and,
we don't know till a month later,
yeah,
till the next meeting. So, in my mind, you do it the first time, the law should be involved with it, period. Not the second time, the third time. I know we're doing that
Well,
the
so
second
we can
time.
read on the 5th, would that show up? If we get that tampered with?
Yes, it will show the consumption, if it's supposed to be off and locked, depending on when we shut it off. If there's higher consumption, then that's a flag for me to send them back out there.
Cause on the 26th, when we go out, we take a read. Then that comes back and they put that read in.
Right, we don't do reads when we do disconnects.
Right,
We
take a
just
read on the
turn them off and them off. The read is on the service request when it's printed. The most current read is on there. So when they go back out there to verify that they're still off and hemlocked and get that final read, that's when we know if they tampered with the meter.
Not on the drive-by.
Cause we do pull reads in on deleted and suspended accounts, so those all get flagged when I pull them in.
Right.
And that's the first thing I look at.
My thoughts are,
How much workload is it gonna be?
It's gonna be a lot, but I mean, we'll get it done.
when we say a lot, so that means we have a lot of tampering, if you mean a lot.
Not necessarily that, it's gonna be, I mean, a lot of more paperwork, which is fine, I have no problem with that. But there's not a lot of times that we can get a deputy over there right now. I mean, cause we gotta send them all the documentation, they gotta come over and get a recorded statement, and they gotta do their thing, which I've got a whole file of them, so it's not a problem doing that, I have no problem doing that. But I'm also an advocate of, we have a lot of people that say, I didn't tamper with my meter. It's their word against ours, how do I prove that? How do I prove it?
Well, if we put the lock on there, you're gonna take a picture when you put, I'm assuming, Kip can verify on this, but I'm assuming if you put a lock on it and the lock is broken, so you should have a picture when you put the lock on, and if it's off, then that's proof. In my mind, it's pretty simple.
Deputy, would that be considered plenty of evidence? If we lock it and if our technician takes a picture and it's date stamped?
We can really, we really, this is a really easy thing to prosecute, but it's not usually the tampering that we prosecute, it's usually theft of services. And whenever we charge for theft of water services, the law states in the theft of water services that if they should have known that the water should have been cut off, and they use the water in the house, they don't have to be the one that tampered with it, I can charge anybody in that house that's in there using that water, then I can charge them with theft of services. And so that's the route we usually choose to go with, and not the actual tampering. Tampering, I'd have to have an eyewitness or fingerprints on it, which is hard to get. I doubt we'd ever get fingerprints I'm not suggesting we do that. But I mean, I would have to have something more than just that person owns the water meter and the water meter's been pulled. Sometimes they pull the meter and they'll straight pipe it in afterwards. I mean, they're very creative when they go steal. But that is a very easy case to put together. It is time consuming, just like she's told y'all. We have to come get statements from everybody, know how much water's been taken. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've got to do, just like I told y'all on anything. It's not as easy as writing a ticket, okay? It's not as easy as saying go to court on this charge. You've got to be able to prove what you're saying they've done. And so there's a little more work to it than that, and there's a lot of work on her part. We do ask her to collect a lot of information for us. You can call a deputy right there to the scene to take a report from the person at the meter, but I'm still gonna end up at her office taking a statement from her and gathering all the information, because it's all gotta be
And then you
done.
gotta come up with a best guesstimate based on.
Right. And then we're gonna have to go back to the house, we're gonna have to talk to people in the house. Most of the time, somebody go, yeah, we knew the motor was, the meter
Then
was
find out,
cut
I
off,
don't know,
and then, yeah, they
ain't
use
here
the
no
water. Yeah. If we go in there and water's supposed to be off and somebody will turn the water spigot on for us, we can certainly see that the water's running in their house. Yeah. So it's not a hard case to make. You know, lots of times misdemeanor cases, though, you don't get to take them to the jailhouse and lock them right up. They go through the court system. So we don't have a problem with those. Those are pretty easy. But it is a lot of work on her. I'm not taking that away from her. Did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, we don't have a problem working with her.
I like
We like seeing you.
theft of services better than tampering, so.
I like to come in there and cut up in your office.
So those are the only two changes I'd like to see is that, plus, you know, when you talk about those rentals where, when they're drawing, homestead exemption, and they're renting the unit, they're actually should be, paying taxes on that house, total taxes, and not getting that $25,000 exemption. Yeah, and the rest of it, city manager took care of the new meters and all that good stuff, and, I think that at some point.
We'll address the homestead exemption issue, and we can do that internally. It's not really anything, I think I don't know that it needs to be in the manual. It's kind of already in there. We'll just, when this happens, we'll have to turn all of it over to Kevin.
It's okay with you, I get with Lisa, the ones that last sheet, I think I still got it, the one that shows, and you could just, all you'd have to do is look and say, yeah, it's rented, here's police, and then we'll know.
Yeah, we have pretty good contacts with the property fair's office that really good to us, so that's not.
Yeah, so it's called truck delivery.
Yeah.
Call one of those two county offices and see how they want it.
And then we want to file names on the property owner.
If it's really a homestead,
Right,
why
so
not?
homestead, It's money that we lost and we should be getting.
Sometimes you have parents that rent their house to their kids. So,
But again, they shouldn't be drawing homestead, right?
I know, right?
It's a rent.
But, and we do catch a lot of it, I will say that, but
Right.
it's just an enforcement.
We don't know if they're homesteaded or not. I
We,
used
we
to,
do, every account that we set up, my staff pulls it up on the property appraiser. Because they're looking for that warranty, they're looking for ownership, they're looking for
and that's,
all of it.
and I take back collections before, and that's what I do is look them up. And I remember last year there were 10 that went to collections and 4 of them showed homestead.
Yeah, okay.
So if it really is a homestead, we put a lien.
I've got all those reports, I can go back through and have my staff do that, and we can get on that tomorrow.
Anything else, Commissioner?
You have the ones from the municipal. We can go back.
I've got them all.
How far back can we go?
Well, she's got them all.
Yeah, how far back can we go?
Well, it's up to us, you know, I just think
Well, I
that,
was just seeing legally how
I
far.
mean, statute of limitations, that probably 4 years.
how long?
Probably 4 years.
4 years.
I don't know how,
If I can
get
go
that.
back.
I think we should go back a year.
Yeah, at least to the start of this year or
Right.
something, yeah,
Right.
but not 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years is a little bit too
Yeah,
much.
that's
for-
kind of a lot,
A year should be quite simple.
yeah.
We can do that, no problem.
I just think we need.
We're gonna have to write some procedures up, Kevin, we'll get you on
That's good for you.
that. That's if we're gonna file a lien, the property to be sent to
I
collection.
just need to quit talking
You
about
have,
it.
no, you don't have any questions?
No, I don't have any more.
Kevin, I don't.
Yeah, you do that. Kind of like we do a nuisance abatement lien.
We don't send a nuisance abatement to collections. So
No, but
we're
well, we
sending,
put it on the tax bill, and you can still
We put it on the
try to
tax
get it collected, but you still have to leave it on the paper, so
right, yeah, that was the question, but it's gonna end up being a tax lien.
that will, not this,
This one,
this won't be a tax, this will just be a lien on the property, this is a judgment lien. When somebody goes to sell the property or whatever, they'll come and get a municipal lien search, they'll see, oh, there's a utility bill lien on there,
What we talked about.
or a code enforcement lien or whatever.
You don't improve the property.
Yeah, that's one way they can go to tax bill, but it'll be a lien, just like a nuisance, like a code enforcement fine, utility lien, that'll be like one of those type of liens.
So I'm guessing this will affect the lien searches too.
Yeah,
Anybody, y'all have to.
which it should anyway, I mean, if there's unpaid utility, whether you have a lien recorded or not on the municipal lien searches, you should tell them that they're not paying utility bills.
Yes.
Cause you're entitled to a lien, whether it's recorded or not.
There's no more questions here. Thank you.
So we're gonna make
clarification, are we going, we're gonna start sending the first camper to the sheriff's office?
Well, that's what the consensus up here,
I'm just
it
verifying.
only needs three to agree, all five, I think all 5 of us agree anyways.
This paper is not gonna be easily approved. That's
We'll change-
the services.
Okay, we'll change our internal procedures.
And that's gonna be changes to the manual or insurance.
I would say the manual.
Well, it doesn't say in there that we don't. It doesn't say that we don't now. Or it doesn't say when we do it now, it's just gonna be our
It doesn't
internal
talk about
procedures.
Yeah, that's it.
One other thing, Commissioner Pelletier mentioned he wanted to talk about the stormwater and increasing that. I think if we're gonna do it, we need to do it now, while we're advertising and while we're updating this manual, because we're gonna have to come back and update it all over again.
Right.
Wasn't it now?
I remember at one time we talked about, when we first instituted that, and I think it was, you can't set a very high fee without doing some
You have
kind
to do
of
a study,
study.
yeah.
So, can we increase it at all from that dollar without doing a study? And that's water, that doesn't cover wastewater, does it, or stormwater, that study that.
No, we didn't.
You know, I think a lot of people, they'll say, we'll have, historically, they've had this little dollar fee or whatever to gather enough money to go pay for your study, to do an actual rate study, which I think we may have talked about a couple of years ago, so I don't know what's in our.
We've been talking about this $1 for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know what's
We
in that bond.
did half of the city in a stormwater study. We put in for a grant to finish the city and make one study, and we did not get the grant. So we're sitting with just partial revenue. That's where a lot of the, the Jan Drive, and also
safely increase that a little bit without a study? Or do we need to do a study to increase it at all?
No, I think if it's I think you could safely do it a little bit, you know, if you're talking $5 or less, or whatever, I think that's safe.
What if we
Especially
go
now.
to $5?
Yeah, but to do,
No.
you know, beyond that, you need a study
No.
to tell you, hey, your stormwater budget is $1.3 million a year, we need to be collecting,
It's
you know.
be more than we're getting now.
Well, the study's gonna cost us a bunch of money, and I
Yes.
know, I don't know I think Lynn Haven or Panama City's at $40 on the stormwater.
They've gone to stormwater special assessments.
The special assessment.
Just like a fire assessment.
Right.
So they've gone to assessments.
I hope we never got,
Well, you know, Lynn Havens, because they were taking money out of sanitation and sewer and all that, and they had a lot, it's a low lying area that had a lot of demand for stormwater, so they kind of had to.
so could we make changes to this and bring it back next meeting to vote on?
Because of the utility rates, I would suggest approving this one, and then if there's more changes, you can bring back the 2 or 3 changes to the next one. It's a
Yeah,
resolution.
we've gotta do 2 months of, so
Yeah,
we
so
need to
you
pass,
definitely wanna
we
do
need to
this.
pass this tonight.
Right, okay, because
And then
of
come back and
the rates.
Yeah, come back and do another smaller red line for the next meeting with these 2 or 3 issues.
The
Would we
rates,
have to advertise if we change,
Yes.
if we increase the stormwater, wouldn't we have to advertise that as well?
I think it's just
For
water.
2
I
meetings?
think it's just water.
It's just words, or.
Okay,
water.
so we could add that. Okay.
That's on the water bill though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We put it on there just for consolidated billing purposes.
It's pleasure of the commission, do we want to increase it, wait?
Of stormwater, here again, that's generating approximately, $8,000 a month, which goes into, that stormwater goes into the general fund, doesn't it?
Yes, straight.
Goes into streets, which is general fund.
Go to the street, yeah. Like I said, you can make it an enterprise fund, but not a dollar amount.
No, we're not gonna make a precedent on that.
Well, there's increasing that because we know what we have now, and we know what we have coming up, and it's gonna be,
and I think, listening to the governor, since we're so rich with reserves, I don't think we're gonna get any more grants from the state.
I don't know that they're gonna give grants from
Right.
the state
He's
anymore to
indulging all the
anybody.
grants, and I think the out years on grants that we've been seeing are gonna come to, at least
Yeah,
with this governor anyways. on the
They already
new
have.
governor.
yeah, he's not giving money to anybody.
Right.
well, I wouldn't say that. I think there's kind of a central to south that is
Yeah,
Could be,
receiving quite a bit.
Sucking it up.
yeah,
they went down to Alligator, whatever.
Apple Travis.
Yeah, Alligator.
Well,
I just think that, I would hate for us to sit up here and we do a special assessment like some of the cities have done. You know, we know what special assessments do, you know, when they have 300 people. And, we know what happened when we tried to do the fire assessment many years ago. I wasn't on the commission yet, but,
if we can avoid it, I don't wanna do a
you
special
know,
assessment.
so to me, you know, we should avoid assessments, period. And you know, we've been talking for 10 years now, you know, that the dollar is ridiculous.
Yeah,
And what's a good fee without a water study? We can't go higher than that, but, you know, I think we should
that's
increase
what
it.
he's saying, we could go maybe $5
Right.
without the study.
You know, I hate to increase fees, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of issues out there that have not been addressed when it comes to stormwater.
Well, I think before we raise it, we need to maybe list those, so we know what we're raising the money for, instead of just saying we need it.
You could
I
maybe
agree
tell
with-
us stormwater issues, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can tell us, we don't have to list it,
Okay.
he can
Yeah.
tell us
Tell
the
us.
list right now.
Yeah, I mean, we just, a lot of our major stormwater stuff, and we covered our major stuff with the grants.
Right, back in the day.
The Genevieve that we did with the grant, The Jan Drive is the big one. We were having houses that were flooded. We've not had any flooding in any homes, and we monitor all this real well. Our biggest issue is keeping the stormwater clean. That is our big, keeping the stormwater ditches clean. That's our biggest concern, is being able just to be able to monitor and, you know, we just did, a lot of people don't realize it, but that cemetery project was actually a major stormwater project. And we were able to do that in-house. We do need to, work on a lot of our retention ponds that are in the city. They're starting to silt in, and we need to get in and dig some of those up. Bill, is there any particular areas that you're aware of? I know we've talked about, we got some ponds that were,
South end of town.
the south end of town. And our biggest issue with the south end of town is we're dealing with, high tides and stuff like that back up. But we've been talking about, the biggest issue when you start talking about cleaning out the stormwater ponds is having what's considered a long reach excavator that can reach all the way out there a long way. And so we would probably use this to get that particular type of equipment so that we can reach across these ponds and get them cleaned out. Because some of them are settling in.
You're renting that now, right?
We are, yes, we've got one coming in in the next month. And that's to, actually work on a couple of retention ponds and then, the drainage project.
And it's probably cheaper to rent it than to buy it and maintain it.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it very much is. Our biggest issue is it's such a big piece of equipment, is transporting a piece of equipment that large from place to place. But we've worked some agreements out with some of the local construction companies that are gonna help us out with moving stuff around. We've got some really good partners in town. We've got some companies that really work and do a lot of good things for the city. And then we've pretty much got the equipment I think we need to be able to maintain the ditches now. Some of our, ditch buckets and everything on our equipment.
Minis.
Yeah, those minis that we purchased, they're going 95 all the time, nonstop. And we're running them. And so, you know, that's one thing, keeping our ditches cleaned out. I'm real, you know, we have needs. We've addressed our major needs. The Cherry Street project is going to address a ton of the issues on our drainage. Because right now we're having to run head pressure on a lot of the area, and that'll be taken care of when we get this thing going.
Just keep in mind that, our agreement years ago to solve an issue with the EPA involved a,
Street sweeper
right,
that we don't use, yeah, I know.
so,
That's what we were told, that we had to have it because of that.
yeah.
That's what we were told. We didn't wanna buy that street sweeper because we already had one, but it was too small.
Oh, this is the second.
Right, this is a second.
The first one was that
Right,
involved with that agreement.
right. This is big,
Good.
pre-them, pre-city manager and pre-bill.
If we raise this, could we not also use that funding to complete our stormwater study? If we've done the part and didn't get a grant for the other part?
If you raise it up to $5, yes, we could use that money.
No,
It should generate about, is it David, can you do the quick math? Is it 9,000 accounts at $5 on 12 months? Is that right? About $500,000?
It's about $6,000 to $7,000 a month. It's 7,000 times 5 times 12.
Which is 420, we would be able to complete stormwater study next year. We already have proposals.
Right, I
We were
know.
going after that grant to be able to do that.
I brought that up for the simple fact that I know we have cities out there that have special assessments, and I know they have higher rates. And I would hope that we can avoid that.
Yes.
And I also know that $1's been here for 10 or 12 years.
A long time.
As long as I've been in Callaway anyways, and that's 35 years.
Well,
And we'll spend it out.
we did have a
Just so
stormwater
you know,
study
we
that was
spend it out.
approximately 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah, way back.
Now, everything in that study, I think we've corrected now. with all the work that's been done with the benches, and at that time, we had property owners that wouldn't even allow someone to take care of some of the ditches. That's been resolved. So there's been a heck of a lot of improvement since that study was made. So, you may have a copy of that, or if you don't, I may have one.
I'm sure I have it in our library.
Someone like to make a suggestion as to what we should do? Well,
My suggestion is to leave it alone. Nickel and dime everybody, we're already increasing our water and our sewer and throwing another $4 on this. We already did that a couple of years ago with the solid waste.
Water and sewage is being increased not by us, it's being increased by the county.
Yes, sir.
So we have no control of that, and, the county is gonna increase our water and sewage indefinitely. They've already told us that, right? Every year we're gonna have an increase.
But we choose whether we want to stay in the city.
Well, we've got some, I'm not making comment on that, but we'll bring it up at the budget hearings.
Right.
Got some,
And we could do it then, and change the name.
I think we should do it then.
What's that?
We can discuss this, stormwater, but
everybody okay with that? We just leave it for now. Anything else?
Commercial stormwater is at $2.
Yeah.
This is just residential.
right,
Anything else on this before I open it up to the audience, or we go to utility bill and manual changes? Okay, does anybody in the audience want to comment on the UD manual? Okay, not seeing anybody. Somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2513 utility billing manual update with Bob's corrections and any other minor corrections that we made by the attachment.
Do we have a second?
second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Does anybody have any more comment? If not, city clerk.
Commissioner Griggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosier,
yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Okay, we will go on to agenda item number 4, budget amendment for fiscal year 2025 Bertha Bridge.
Basically, we are amending the budget for actuals. We've held off on doing the little ones as we go, as we had the changeovers and everything. And so this is just basically, amending the budget just to the actuals. When we end up over budget with the changeovers, we have to amend the budget. I will say this much you won't see this on the drainage project, because the drainage project actually came in $14,000 under budget. So you won't see budget amendments for that. But for this one, this is just amending the budget to the actuals.
That finishes up the bridge, correct?
Yeah, this is just, yeah, everything's was done per everything that was decided by the commission. This is just amending the budget to match.
Anybody have any comment or question?
Can I ask for a break for a second? I just need to talk to you, man.
Sure. We're just gonna take about a 5-minute break, so if anybody needs to stretch their legs or anything, go ahead.
Bill? I need you.
The mayor, the governor.
Now, you put her out the other day.
Looking for the help us out.
We're having a meeting on the 21st or something.
Yep.
of 2024.
Somebody changed it. So it didn't say
24, when I was
we were going to do it.
no, 2024, not 2025.
Oh, I didn't, the only thing I changed was the day.
Yeah.
I changed it to the 21st because we've been doing it on the 17th and had a conflict.
It was changed to the 21st of 2024, and I'm going, what the heck?
I didn't see that. So I'm going to hand out.
Yeah, that's just like the garbage, all the waste trucks. He hasn't come, he comes by every other weekend, but he hasn't come by every weekend for the last 2 months. I don't know why, they only come by every other weekend.
Call them, they'll come back if you have something they didn't get it.
Reference to a question. If we're able to charge it on a regular citation, we should be able to get a violation of $65. However, because of the city ordinance, I think we're gonna have to give them notice to appear. And then if it falls into violation of city ordinance, it's gonna be charged up to $500. That's up to a judge to set that. Set the final number. If we charge them on a regular citation, it's preset, it's justified.
Oh, you know what?
So it's gonna depend on how the final reading is on how we can enforce.
Yeah, that's why I wonder, because I'm going, there's nothing about fines in here or anything, that's why I wonder. So
Most city ordinances, they charge, they pay about $500. That's what most of the judges can do on the city ordinance.
But, I mean, so you're going after peanuts.
Here's their money.
On any traffic law, pretty much.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're familiar with that.
Yeah, we're going after peanuts, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if we're able to charge an ordinance on a ticket, but I'm thinking that there's some restrictions on that on the Florida Uniform Florida citation. Therefore, it's gonna end up, they don't know it, but it's gonna end up being charged on the.
We need to get all the officers in to get certified.
So they'll have to go to court, they'll have to go before the judge will get to pick what he charges, and it's probably gonna cap out at $500.
It'll probably get thrown out the first one. Yeah, it's
Everybody need a pot
Everybody
break.
ever gets charged.
yeah.
You know.
Or they'll,
Anna, all these men need a potty break.
They're gonna call, they're gonna be long.
that's why I'm saying, that's why it's there.
Unless they come up with this. I mean, I work traffic on South K all the time, but, you know, I've that man that was complaining up there, I get right by his house all the time, stopping me.
Do you try calling the company and reporting the charge?
But their drivers right now aren't breaking any laws. They're gonna have to pass this ordinance, and they're gonna have to pass that resolution behind it that takes in South Gate.
Like I said, 5 minutes, so.
But still, calling the company, it's not the same driver every week and everything, so.
It's not.
No.
And the problem there again is, I'm thinking that it's the one that comes around to the station up the street there. He's coming around, so he's not trying to make the loop back out on the City Parkway. I don't really blame him. It's a lot safer to come down through that neighborhood. But, you know, they can bring a shorter truck in there, but that drives prices.
My issue
He has to go back and get another truck.
I try to roll
Every
it.
time he drops off a load, yeah.
You would. So, I mean, you're punishing it.
I think it looks like everybody's back, so we'll go
That's
ahead
not,
and
I'll
call
enforce it,
our
I just
way
need to know
over.
what to enforce.
Here, if I can,
I need
I'd
something
like
that
to
I
explain,
can't.
please.
Excuse me,
For those of you wondering why I asked for a break, I had a text from a citizen, and it was an emergency, and I had to give it to city manager. So that's why I have, you know, every once in a while, a citizen sends me text, and this had to be taken care of. So I'm sorry, but I had to give the city manager now, so they can act on it.
Well, good.
so we'll go back to our budget amendment on board the bridge. Did anybody up here have any more comment? Nothing?
I don't like it, but we've already done it, so.
What do you say?
I know we're just fixing the books.
Nobody up here has anything, does anybody in the audience want to comment on our budget amendment? Not seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
So, and I'll go ahead and give a complete update on the project while we're doing this, so I don't have to give it during comments. But, as everyone knows, the grant has been canceled by the new owners of the building, which it is Grocery Outlet. They bought the whole entire strip center. Their desire for how they wanted to go about did not match up with the way the grant was structured. We did not have a time to try to get it in to make everything work. Plus, because of the amount of work that was gonna be involved, they were going to be under the scrutiny of the city and the state for the whole entire project. Has to be put back together, but we still have work that has to be done to close it out. Regardless, there's been money expensed, and they are going to have to close this ground out to the very end. They will have to present a closeout package, because we have to have all the documentation of how the money was spent. Total is somewhere around $180,000 is what we are sending an invoice to them in the morning. After y'all pass this is reducing their total figure from the 150 something down to, I think I'll give you the exact amount.
65.
Down to $65,000. We've already paid them $30,000, so that's gonna come off. And this is just, for some of the remaining stuff that they've already done, hadn't billed us for, and for the closeout process. So we're amending their contract, dropping it down, and then this way we'll be able to take this with everything else, and this will be presented to the former owners of Beacon Point. They are aware it's coming. They said, get us all the documentation and everything, so we have all that documentation. After this passes, we will send this off to them first thing in the morning. They sold the building for $6-something million. They're gonna pay. Or, yeah, where Kevin's gonna go get them.
Anybody have any
I
questions?
have some questions.
Okay.
City manager, I know money, contractors have done work. As the building came in, who paid those bills?
The contractor did.
The contractor did the work, but who paid the bills of the contractor prior to this? Have we expended any money on this project?
Yes, $180,000.
Well, I don't quite understand.
The grant process.
I don't understand, city manager, that we were told that the money, that $1 million that the contractor, the owner of the property put up, all those bills are supposed to be paid out of that $1 million. And you're telling me that we paid the money, now we're waiting for the money from the contractor. It makes no sense as to why we did that.
It's the way all grant processes work. We expend the money, we have to prove payments, and then that goes in for the reimbursements. Mr. Schultz.
So far, originally in the contract, we paid for Brewer's $215,000 invoices. We just paid last week $113,000.
We say we, the city?
The city.
Okay.
When they're talking we, it's the city. It's not me, it's the city.
Right, I understand.
We paid $113. We have 2 invoices we just received, one last week, one today for DRMP, TI services, and then there'll be the balance of $35,000 there and a $5,000 invoice for retainage. It'll be about $189,000. We are required, for the grant requirements, we have to pay that for the city. We get the canceled checks and then we send them back to the other party and they pay us. That's the way it was all set up to work in the first place. We do not have the $1.1 million. We have never.
I understand we don't have the money, but my understanding that they were gonna pay.
No,
with-
sir. The way the grant works, the city.
I know how it works, but this is what I understand we were told. The $25,000, have we ever collected that money?
What
For the demo of the front parcel?
Yeah,
That was never part of the grant.
That wasn't
We never
part of
paid
the
all
grant.
that money.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
we
right.
got that right away, I remember them.
I just
showing
wanna
us
make
the
sure we
check.
got that
We
money.
gave them an invoice one day and they paid us an
They paid
invoice.
us the next, that's paid.
And I know we have a written agreement, a written contract with them, that they're responsible for it. And, I've said time to time, they can walk away and then we gotta take them to court. And, so I don't know, where we're at with it, cause I'm not negotiating with the contractor, but I just wanna make sure that whatever money is due to us, that, we're gonna move forward with it.
Yeah, which is why he's gonna do it immediately, since they just sold the building and they've got.
Right.
Evidence.
Yes.
I mean, he's got his $6 million, but he could care less,
Right now.
So how much does he owe us?
189.
About 189,000.
Minus the $35,000.
Total 189.
Total is 189.
We have not paid the total 189 yet.
No, we have not.
We paid 113 to Holly, we paid 30,000 to Gures. We still have to pay the other invoices. The DRMP invoices will be paid tomorrow in the check run. Once we get this invoice, we can pay Gures as they perform the services, but we are going to bill the company ahead of time. And then we'll have the retainage to pay yet on the balance, which is only $5,000.
Okay. And the total 189.
It's about a little over 189.
Any other questions from y'all?
And the owner knows coming.
Owners are aware. They haven't said anything about, we need paying that, they know they're on the hook for everything.
Well, I thought.
We have a sound contract.
Anybody else?
Well, I hope we never do this again.
So.
Me too.
I will tell you, as this is probably the first ever public-private grant, and I can promise you I'll never do another one, so you ain't gotta worry about it.
Well,
I won't even apply for it.
in my mind, if we paid out a contract, 2-3 weeks or a month ago, I don't quite understand why we didn't send that to the contractor right away while we're waiting for everything to come
I don't
on.
understand why
I don't know.
We just got everything in the past.
We're just now getting,
Yeah, that's what we're saying, we're just getting everything's being processed, and we did that was kind of the whole deal, was just, let's just give them one bill, not trickle it in, let's just, we're gonna give everything to them tomorrow. We just got in the last 2 final bills today. Graz will be, part of that, and we're just gonna send them one package. Now that we have, because we did not have any, we had a majority of the final numbers, but we got the rest of them in today.
Right, yeah, because once you cancel the grant, then you gotta cancel the construction contract and tell them, stop work right now, notify your subs, get all your final bills in, because they may have ordered stuff, may have done stuff, and that's.
And that's what,
exactly
that's
what-
the only reason why I
and when
bring,
they turn that in, it still has to go through the CEI for verification purposes.
the only reason why I bring this out is, city manager, as we went through this grant, you told us that that money, the contracts, because that was the responsibility of the property owner. And maybe we should have spent a little bit more time and tell us how the grant process works, and I would have understood it.
I will tell you right now, all grants work exactly the same way. Every grant that you ever get is a reimbursement.
I understand that, but that's
No
not,
matter how you look at it, it's a reimbursement. The city will always pay, and we get reimbursed.
when you're ready, they don't pay.
So.
Alright,
Well, in this case, the
I'm curious.
property owner was a middle man in there,
yeah.
which is screwing up everything, all the
Yeah,
grants.
the property owner was the one making the match.
Right.
That's a.
He's responsible for the expense, period. Even though he sold the property, but, but he's still responsible for the
He's still
expense.
responsible.
But
The
there's-
contract we have is with him.
But this is what the city manager's talking about, that partnership, we've never had before, and we haven't had problems
And
with the grants.
we won't have again.
So,
You won't ever see one like it again. That's amazing. My staff would shoot me if I even thought I was gonna apply for one.
You probably should yourself.
Probably.
I know it has been something to do.
It has not been a fun process. But we got one building down, and I will tell you that the new owners, I have met with them a couple of times, talked with them several times. They are expediting this process. They do not want that to look that way. They want to go ahead. They're gonna expand it all the way down to the big box. They're bringing it, the whole
I'm
entire.
assuming
thing
since they
is
spent $6 million, that they're gonna go ahead and fix it up and start making money.
That's exactly, and that's exactly what they said, and they were even concerned about the time frame that the grant was gonna take, when they could do it quicker so they could start getting paid. And us putting bids out, we know they're gonna come in higher than them being able to go out and negotiate.
Yeah, cause they can use whoever they want.
Yeah.
It's private, so they can do what they wanna do.
There is, just so that everybody's clear, the out parcel, they don't have any plans for it right now. They're strictly working on the in-line, strictly.
That's at least just an empty spot.
It's an empty spot, yes. And they have tenants already that are ready to go into it, so they're expediting.
ago, they got canceled? Or does that still belong to the original Beacon Point owners?
It's my understanding, I don't know, but I'm assuming it's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember it being split, and I can do a quick look at the property pricing and see if it's been split at all.
While he's doing that, anybody else want to speak? Ms. Langston?
Teresa Langston, 6031 Lincoln Street. I know previously that you had said something about hiring a structural engineer. When we were talking about, here you'd been telling us for the last, 7 years that there's nothing that can be done because, we're in this grant, we're tied in this grant, we can't do anything. So, are we going to be doing anything, or are we just gonna be looking at it for another 5, 6, 7 years? Is code enforcement going to be doing anything, or?
Well, that's what he had said, they wanna expedite, and that's the part they wanna start with, so if they wanna expedite because they've got tenants, it shouldn't be that long before that's taken care of.
Yeah, but we've heard a lot of things over the last
Well,
7 years, you know what I mean, and you come to a meeting and you hear one thing, and then 2 weeks later, you come to another meeting and it's totally changed, and, it's just kinda, whatever the wind blows, or whatever you wanna tell the citizens at the moment. So,
what's your response to that? If they want to expedite, I would think it would be cleaned up soon, but.
I mean, I can, they're bringing in their engineers right now. I can't give you a time frame on it. I would hate for us to go after a company that just bought a building that they're trying to rehab. So if this commission wants to set a time frame before we do anything, I mean, Kevin.
Yeah, first of all, if it's an unfit, unsafe structure, you guys determine that, whatever engineering process, then you still have to send them a notice and tell them they need to go start working on it. They've got 30 days to go pull a permit and all that sort of stuff. So you might just want to talk to the owner and see when what their time frame is.
Well, and like I
I mean, obviously,
said,
they
the
said
last
they
thing
sit on
that I
this
heard
forever.
was that they were bringing in their engineer, so they're gonna have time to get their stuff, but.
It's
I
my
did tell them
understanding,
that the end parcel was the big concern.
I think we've been told that it's not unfit, and,
And if it's not, then we can't do
many,
anything.
times, so.
I don't know that it's unfit.
Yeah, so we can spend money
It's
on
an
a structural
eyesore.
engineer, they can say it's not unsafe, and then we.
I mean, if it's not unsafe, and if they make it structurally sound, then I'm sorry, Bill, you might wanna chime in on this, you know, code enforcement guy.
Number two.
Yeah.
So it'd be an eyesore or whatever, I would say it's unfit, because it shouldn't be there, but unsafe, they got the fence around it, as long as the fence is up like it's supposed to be. It's not about to just fall down, you can look at it and tell that. So, is it a violation? I would say yes, it is a violation, so, a reasonable time to let the new owners get things going, and then have code enforcement nudge them along, and if need to, get serious about it, is my opinion.
Exactly what I was saying. I mean, I'll continue to work with the property owner, and maybe I can work on getting them some potential timeframes of what they're doing and send it back out.
You know what angers me about this is this is 180 from what we've been told for 5 or 6 years, what you've told the citizens.
How's that?
Well, we were told we can't, city attorney says, well, if it's not, we can't do what we wanna do. I think if we could do that and code enforcement inside them, it should have been done 5, 6 years ago. And I know we got a new owner, and the new owner, in my mind, I think is gonna concentrate his effort on the property that's not totally ruined. And I understand but at some point, I think we need to, if we're able to cite them, then we should give them a reasonable time in writing and quit messing around with this thing.
I think that's what we're saying. Give them an opportunity to tell us what their time frame is, and then we can make a decision to give them that amount of time, and then if not, we can continue to work with the owners. I mean, right now, they stated their intent.
Right.
They're following through.
Right.
We have to give give them time.
I understand
in their
that.
building, so, this is all just come about in the last 2-3 weeks, so they've gotta have time to hire their engineers and start working on what they would consider to be a feasible timeframe for themselves. I'll probably let her tomorrow, if that's what this commission wants me to do.
Ask them for a timeframe.
Yeah, just ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I will get with them and ask them, hey, what are you thinking? And, I'm sure I'm sure their answer's gonna be real quick, well, once the engineer comes in here, he'll tell us what's going on. But I will be more than happy to reach out, they've been very receptive, and, it's like they said, they don't like the eyesore any more than we do. That's why, they wanted to purchase the building, they actually have a store that's there, and they know the eyesore is affecting their store as well. I think that's a huge plus that the owners of the business actually have the largest business there, or second, depending on how big lots is, but.
And our biggest complaint is on the north end.
Right.
And the north end is what they're telling you.
Yep.
That they wanna address first. But they're also telling you that they have, actually tenants that are waiting for this to be done. They're spending $8 million, buying, what? $6 million. And, they're not spending that, wanting to sit on it.
Exactly.
And they're the one that's buying it, so they're not buying it $6 million to sell to somebody else right now.
So they blew off that $1 million grant, so I think they're pretty serious.
No.
I thought it was, see what their intention was.
Yeah,
And then we can say, okay, and if their intention is 5 years, that won't work.
Right.
Give
Yeah, I agree,
6 months or something to make sure that they're.
Yeah, if it was 5 years, they would have.
I have already, just so everyone knows, I have expressed to the new owners that we are monitoring this and we do expect this to get done expedited. And their words were, so are we. Mr. Pelletier?
Oh,
That, just so you know, that
I heard
emergency,
you.
no, that emergency has been taken care of.
Oh, thank you,
We
appreciate
have
it.
people en route.
Thank you.
And then I guess my last question is, because we weren't, I know this is kind of like kicking a dog or whatever you wanna call it, but, 1 minute we're getting an update on Beacon Point, we're going, and then the next time we come in, we're like, oh, it's sold. So even though we're in contract for this grant, they're in a contract with us, and then they can just up and sell it without notifying you guys that they've sold it.
Wasn't nothing that said they couldn't.
I mean,
We
I'm just
ran
asking.
this to our administrators and we ran it through the state. I mean, it is what it is. There's an out clause for everything. They executed an out clause. Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, they
verified
could sell
everything
it,
with this.
they could have assigned that agreement they have with us, and we would have been able to approve that, but the new owners didn't want it.
That's what we were doing.
But yeah, they
We're
certainly,
looking for.
they could have assigned it, we could have been in the same situation with the new owners, if they wanted to keep going. It was assignable.
All right,
Was
just,
our
I was just curious about it. Okay, thank you.
You can trust that I was just as surprised. I did not like that phone call.
This delay was not the owners, over the years, it's not been the owners or the city. It's been the government that's been in between on all this, and caused all this delay. So,
They have threatened to demolish people's homes, and they have demolished people's homes.
I know in that email, he said they didn't want to participate in it because he can make it go faster.
Exactly.
He wouldn't have all the delays and.
the personnel changes in government that has caused the problem.
Very much so.
Did anybody else want to speak about the uniform? Not seeing it. Oh, come on up.
Any motion?
So you gotta come up
Oh, I
here.
forgot.
Get taught from the the Oscars.
Sorry,
Got
sorry.
it come up here.
They don't know it's not, y'all are not talking about the Bradford, sorry, that negotiable. The Bill Bradford, just making sure, I didn't know, I just heard about a person buying. I was gonna stand up for him, because he's been wanting to buy that building for years. I'm just saying, he is an engineer, and he would expedite it, right there, if that's what you're talking about, as well.
It's a company.
Yes, it is.
It's like,
He is one of the partners. From what I understand, there's 3 of them. All 3 of their emails from Grocery Outlet.
Anyone else? Okay, gentlemen, well, we just need to get back to this task order amendment.
Motion to approve the Boris Associates, task order amendment number 1, Beacon Point reduction.
second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Come on. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So we're up to commission comments. I just have 2 things, and all I really want to do is brag about things. First off, I was informed that one of our leisure services employees, Benjamin Davenport, I think he's already been recognized by his department, but there was a lady, was sent a copy of the email. She had taken her elderly father to Veterans Park so he could see where the block that she had bought him in the wall. He's in a wheelchair. So she said, when she was leaving, taking him back to the vehicle, Benjamin was there working that day, and he went up and asked, could I help? And she said he was so kind, he helped the gentleman get into the vehicle. He folded up the wheelchair and put that in the vehicle, and she was just so happy to let us know what a kind employee he was. That there aren't many people these days that would do something like that. So Benjamin was recognized at the meeting, but I just wanted to let citizens know we always, brag on our leisure services, and they really are a good bunch of guys. So he's just one shining example of it. And then the other thing I want to brag about is our community center at the July 11th, First Friday. We were awarded the apple of our eye for the rehab project on the community center. So we were recognized, about a year ago for our Gore Park, that won the, new construction type, and now the community center has gotten the plaques for the rehab project. So we have a park over there to be proud of. I think Tim has both the certificates he'll be having in the community center, if he hasn't already.
Yeah. Yes.
I know he's got them, so that, I just wanted to share those things. That's good stuff for our city, and we get good recognition. Now, Commissioner Davis, we'll start with you.
The one I was so worried about being late here, I drove in, is the fence fixed?
Yes. The white fence coming in from the drive.
It was? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, about 3 months ago. 3 months ago.
I wasn't know 3 months ago, we just talked about it 2 weeks ago.
We were working on it 2 weeks ago.
It laid on the ground for 3 months. Yeah, that's what it was.
It's been
Stacked up. What is that gonna be used for?
We have some of it spare, and that's also some of the fencing that was taken down at Gold Park. That's a different type of fence. After the storm, that's been some fencing that we've, some of it was left over from the cemetery project.
Right. One, that flag pole at Brittany Woods, that jam up job it did, makes a big difference there. And I was walking, I was thinking, man, we could use a water fountain, but then I thought about all the destruction we've been having lately. No, we don't. do have a faucet right beside the dog park.
We're actually going to be adding some stuff on there.
Talking about Veterans Park, what is the actual plan? Somebody had asked me that, I was over at Sims Nursing Home, and there's 2 or 3 of them gonna get them in there. They were asking, are we gonna build on top of that, or what's the?
No, we're gonna be coming most likely off the sides. We
Behind
have a plan for it.
But it'll be at the side, not going up.
Okay. That's what they're asking, what we were doing. I was like, I really don't know. We talked about a couple different things.
Yeah, we're gonna probably keep the same size wall coming down both sides.
Okay.
But there'll be a walk-through, just so it doesn't feel so confined in a big U shape.
So tell them to get their orders in, so we can get enough that we can go ahead and.
Right. And matter of fact, if we have a flyer, but, they're asking if the city could send one to them over there at the nursing home, so they can post it.
Yeah.
And the other one would be updates from around the city, from the city manager.
Okay, Commissioner Briggs?
I'll wait for the updates, particularly the one on, solid waste.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Just a couple quick ones. City manager, we're gonna send the old meters in to get new, they're gonna give us credit, is that what you mentioned last meeting?
We did an inventory and, the lead time on the new meters is not gonna work.
Okay.
So we're not gonna be doing any swap outs. We're gonna have probably just enough that we'll just transition right over.
Okay, we're
When
getting
the new
close,
ones come in.
okay, we're getting close to almost a week prior to budget, where's the draft budget, when are we gonna get it?
You'll get it
We'll be
Thursday.
printing tomorrow.
Thursday, tomorrow?
We'll have it tomorrow.
Thank you. As I mentioned, Kevin Brandon was here, but I did spend some time with him and Sheriff Ford, had, long discussions on, what we talked about. Sheriff Ford is committed to increase the rest of the deputies when they have time to do some of the traffic enforcement. But we gotta understand that if they get a call, they gotta go, calls are more important than a traffic safety, so he's committed to that. I talked to him about, unmarked vehicle, and he and the captain